This biological man who identifies as a woman is about to set an unofficial world record and become the strongest woman in Canada.
Andre's record is a mediocre lift by a mediocre male powerlifter because the Canadian Powerlifting Union is discriminating against female athletes.
So here is Annie Andrews, and you may remember her from my video that got over 6 million views. See, Annie Andrews competes in women's powerlifting, even though Annie is a biological male. See, the Canadian Powerlifting Union has its trans inclusion policy. Now, the Canadian Powerlifting Union, for those who don't know, is the governing body of powerlifting in Canada. Now, they have a policy that allows any person to compete in any gender category they choose to compete in. So, simply put, if you're a man and you identify as a woman, you can compete with women, full stop. Their policy says, quote, individuals are not required to disclose their trans identity or history to the CPU, Canadian Powerlifting Union, or to any of the CPU's representatives. In a nutshell, if you're a man and say, I identify as a woman today, you compete with the women today. So Annie Andrews was born a male, now identifies as a woman, and is one of the strongest women in Canada and in the world. Now, Annie formerly held the women's record in bench press. And to throw a little salt in the wound, she actually made fun of biological women not being able to hold up to a biological man in powerlifting. You think I'm joking?
Welcome to Anne Says Something Controversial. Why is women's bench so bad? I mean, not compared to me. We all know that I'm a tranny freak, so that doesn't count. And no, we're not talking about Mackenzie Lee. She's got little T-Rex arms and she's like 400 pounds of chest muscle, apparently. I mean, standard bench in powerlifting competition for women, I literally don't understand why it's so bad. My son, he weighs 45 pounds. His max bench is like 33. I'm legit seeing some women in competition who are doing something like 50 pounds, and I just don't understand it. I don't understand why so many women are skipping bench and focusing on everything else. Yeah, that's my controversial thing today. I'm gonna go do some bench now.
So enter this man, Avi Silverberg. Now, he was the coach for the Canadian women's powerlifting team and decided to, hey, identify as a woman and reclaim the bench pressing record for all women in the world. So Avi went and shattered Annie's 275-pound bench pressing record with a lift of 375 pounds, while Annie Andrews was forced to sit and watch him do it, making now Avi, this guy, the women's champion. Here's the clip. Now, Annie was obviously shocked and unhappy about this. Allowing a biological man to pretend to be a woman and win all the medals and cash? That's crazy. Listen to the clip.
APU with the situation with that one lifter claiming to be trans just to get those medals and setting records and all that stuff. Here's the problem. You shouldn't really be asking me, because I ultimately, I mean, weird thing to say, I come from a place of privilege, which, like I said, is weird to say. You gotta keep in mind, I transitioned almost 20 years ago. I got all of my papers done. I have my passport. I got surgery. I can prove without any doubt whatsoever that I have gone through every step.
Now, to make this even more insane, more insane than we've already seen, to make this even more insane, Annie then goes as far to say that her competing against biological women is unfair because of science, but she's nice to people, and because she's nice to people, it's okay. You know there's a clip.
And you know what? It was nothing. It was just entirely ignored. People lifted. I volunteered. Everyone was happy that I was there. And it really struck me that maybe my participation isn't necessarily fair. I mean, there's science, whatever. But people welcome me because I'm actually nice to people.
Now let's fast forward to last week, where Annie is now competing in the women's category again because she's nice to people. And she is about to break the Canadian record. Matter of fact, she's going to utterly shatter it. But she's also going to unofficially set a new women's world record in the deadlift. Check it out.
This will be a national record.
Now, Annie broke the record by so much, even other female competitors in the event were like, hold on, we've gotten to the point where this is becoming insanity. Here is another one of the female powerlifters in Canada letting us know how she feels about the whole thing.
Hi, my name is April Hutchinson. I'm a competitive powerlifter with the Canadian Powerlifting Union. 2 days ago, we saw a biological male literally crush the women's masters powerlifting category by almost 500 pounds, taking away the national records, also the second highest deadlift in powerlifting history. So men don't have an advantage, right? Okay. It's so important to keep women and girls sports fair and safe. We need to use our voices, men and women, to let everyone know that fairness and safety has to be top priority of every federation. Any woman, man, or federation that supports men lifting or competing with women is part of the problem, and they should be ashamed, and they are literally helping erase women's sports. So I ask you, please use your voice. You will not be silenced. It is imperative to speak up. We are the majority, not the minority. We speak truth and facts. Bodies play sports, not identities. Thank you.
Now it seems like people are finally waking up to this madness, to say the least. Here is Riley Gaines. Now she's going to essentially eviscerate this whole process and let you know, like, this is crazy. Now, if you don't know who Riley Gaines is, she was the one who lost to Leah Thompson in the NCAA swimming competitions because she was competing against a biological man. So listen to the way she describes like what happened in the events that happened. It's hilarious.
Breaking news, there is a new Canadian national record holder in women's powerlifting. The only problem is it wasn't set by a woman. Trans-identified Anne Andres competed at the 2023 Western Canadian Championships yesterday. According to results, Andres' total powerlifting score was over 210 pounds more than the top-performing female in the same class. Not only is this a Canadian national record, sources say that this is an unofficial world record for the class that Andres competed in. And as if his domination competing against the women wasn't enough, watch as he mocks female powerlifters.
Why is women's bench so bad? I mean, not compared to me. We all know that I'm a tranny freak, so that doesn't count. And no, we're not talking about Mackenzie Lee. She's got little T-Rex arms and she's like 400 pounds of chest muscle, apparently. I mean, standard bench in powerlifting competition for women, I literally don't understand why it's so bad.
Let's rephrase that. Women's bench might be bad to you because you are a male who's gone through male puberty with a male amount of testosterone. Being a woman or a female athlete doesn't mean we're inferior or not capable of accomplishing incredible things, but it means we're different to men. And that's exactly why the women's sporting category was ever even created. And we deserve to be recognized and celebrated based off of those physical ceilings and our own uniqueness. Andre's record is a mediocre lift by a mediocre male powerlifter because the Canadian Powerlifting Union is discriminating against female athletes.
Should more men just identify as women and take all the medals and cash associated with women's events? Are the fastest, strongest, most celebrated women's athletes just going to become men? Has feminism actually gotten to the point where, equality means men being the best women in the world? Hit the subscribe button and tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section, because I'm just going to be very candid here. We separate women's and men's sports for a reason. And we know that men have physical advantages over competing with women. That's why we have Women's World Cup, Men's World Cup, women's basketball, men's basketball, because when we just ignore the gender differences, it was only men who were competing in women. So that's why we specifically passed things like Title IX and other laws to allow there to be two sets of groups, one for the men, one for the women, understanding that there were these biological differences that just couldn't be overcome with wishful thinking. And I also want to mention, I do understand inclusion and I do understand wanting everyone to feel a certain way. But there are facts and realities that we have to deal with, right? You can't feel your way out of reality. You can't say, I feel my way out of the fact that I'm a biological man competing against biological women. I have a huge advantage because I've went through male puberty. That's not a feeling that you can just overcome. That's the reality of the situation. And I think at a point, we just have to all recognize that, hey, there has to be something that we can do to protect both the women's category and also allow trans people to compete. But we cannot do it in such a way where it's just we're going to turn a blind eye and let something like this happen, because this is now becoming ridiculous. And I think Annie Andrews is taking advantage of a situation. A lot of you guys are going to hate on Annie, which I understand, but you can't hate on her or, whatever you want to call her for following the rules, because those rules are stupid rules. But just like you can't blame Avi for going and showing us how those rules were done. But again, let me know in the comment section where you disagree. My name is Nate the Lawyer. I'm out. Peace.